are tonight's winning lottery numbers. Live from Tampa Bay streaming news leader, this is ABC Action News, taking action for you.
Hello and thanks for watching ABC Action News at 11. I'm Kevin Lewis in for Nadine. We want to start with Tropical Storm Milton. Governor DeSantis has declared a state of emergency in 35 counties, including Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, Polk, and Sarasota in the Tampa Bay area. ABC Action News Chief Meteorologist Dennis Phillips has the updated 11 o'clock track of the storm. Good evening, Dennis.
Hey, Kevin. Yeah, we're not looking at much of a change in the last 6 hours. Remember, the track is updated every 6 hours. So at 11 p.m., 5 a.m., 11 a.m., and 5 p.m. There it is right now, and I think a little bit of dry air is actually coming in from Mexico. It's kind of lopsided, if you will, but over the next couple of days, next 36 hours, this is going to move east, and as it does so, it's going to intensify. Now, a couple of things. It's a pretty small storm, so in terms of size. So small storms have a tendency to get stronger quicker, although they can sometimes weaken quicker as well. At this point in time, we think it's going to go on the strengthening side. And because of that, I have little doubt tomorrow morning we will have, or at least sometime tomorrow, we will be under a hurricane watch and a storm surge watch. Now, the storm surge watch will obviously include only our coastal areas. I think the hurricane watch will include everybody, inland areas as well as coastal areas, because look at the track. This is going to go across the state. Look, there's no way around this. This is going to hit Florida. How strong it is, that's another story. There's some drier air coming in from the north that may limit it just a bit as it gets closer to land. That's what the European model shows. But it's obviously clear and painfully clear right now that this track is going to be pretty close to the Bay Area. But look at the margin of error. All right, so you look at this cone of uncertainty and people are like, well, maybe it looks like it's moved a little bit more this way or a little this way. The cone of uncertainty is nothing more than the average error from the Hurricane Center in a 5-year period. All right, so at this time frame, the average margin of error is 150 miles. 150 miles. We're talking a storm that probably will only have intense winds, and we're talking the extreme winds and the surge of maybe 5 to 10 miles. So obviously, anywhere in this could see the full impacts of this storm, but this is not Helene, all right? So we are not going to have a storm move right up the coast and impact everybody. Unfortunately, there is going to be significant surge. It's going to be a much smaller spot, but I think it's going to end up probably being even more than what Helene was in the area that gets landfall. Again, maybe 10 miles tops. So my point is, overall, any given spot has a pretty slim chance of direct landfall. The places that do get it, it's going to be bad. But overall, the chances in any particular spot is pretty slim. Now, the spaghetti models are kind of all over the place, as you would expect, as they mostly are 4 days out. So my point is, we're still a good 24 to 36 hours away. This is the GFS ensembles, and this is a lot of the models hinting at our area. I mean, we get that, right? The track is in our area. But I'll tell you, if you look at the European model, and this is what I was talking about. So some drier air is expected to come in as a front sags into the northern Gulf on Monday. Watch what happens. You can see that drier air trying to come in from the southwest, and even as it moves across the state. So there's a lot of things that still have to play out. This is by no means set in stone. When you see a track 4 days out that goes into the Bay Area, oh boy, well, it's going to go in the Bay Area. Yes, we have to prepare for it. Yes, this is going to be a devastating storm for a small area, but that area, we don't know if it's going to be here or all the way down here. We'll have a much better idea tomorrow. But one thing's for certain, we're getting tropical storm force winds and probably even minimal hurricane winds across much of the area. But there's a big difference from a 70 or 75 mile an hour wind to 110 or 115 miles an hour wind in terms of damage. So again, there's a lot more things that have to play out. We'll talk more about that with our full forecast coming up in a couple of minutes. Kevin?
Thanks, Dennis. Well, we are staying on top of Tropical Storm Milton, which is expected to hit Florida sometime in the next week. Now, this is the last thing people across the Tampa Bay area want to deal with, but people are preparing. ABC Action News reporter J.J. Burton spoke to some who are out filling up sandbags this afternoon.
It's about time to watch on your time.
whether it's going to be mostly this or partly this. Or maybe grab this. It's about time we fit into your schedule. Streaming local weather 24/7. Search for ABC Action News on your device.
ABC Action News Weather, streaming 24/7, is sponsored by WeatherTight Windows, Tampa Bay's replacement windows and doors headquarters.
The MacDill Air Force Base says they're relocating some aircraft due to the potential impacts from Tropical Storm Milton. Let's check back in with ABC Action News Chief Meteorologist Dennis Phillips, who is keeping an eye on Milton.
Yeah, Kevin. So, we spent an hour talking about possibilities today on Dennis Phillips Live at 7 o'clock. We'll do it again tomorrow night at 7 o'clock so I can answer your questions. But this is a very different setup than Helene. We start with some rain tomorrow and into Monday. There are flood watches in effect. I don't think we are going to see widespread flooding the next couple of days. The issue is we've had so much rain the last few days as it is. Any additional rain can create some flooding. And you can see there's plenty of rain offshore that eventually is going to move onshore. This is really nothing to do with Milton. This is that blob we talked about earlier on in the week with that moisture that is streaming in. And that'll continue tomorrow and again on Monday. You can see there's a lot of it. And as it moves east, we're going to see our rain chances increase tomorrow and into Monday. All right, so we've got a ton to talk about in terms of the timing and everything else. And I've got about 5 minutes left to do that. Follow me on Facebook. Greg, myself, Jason Shea, we give pretty lengthy discussions 24/7 about how this is going to play out versus the forecast versus to what's really happening at that point in time. And right now, like I said, we're up a little bit from where we were at 5 o'clock. We're now at 45 miles an hour. Still a disorganized system, but it's very close to land. There's little doubt as it moves east, it is going to get stronger. I brought this up a couple of minutes ago. Now, I am not comparing this to an Andrew. Let me be very clear about that. But Andrew was a small storm. And if you remember the damage with Andrew, when it went into Homestead, Homestead was just devastated. But you go 8 or 9 miles out of Homestead and you didn't see nearly the damage that you had in the city of Homestead. I bring that point up because I think what's going to happen as this develops and gets stronger, and by the way, this is not weaker. It looks, oh, look, it's a 3, and then it goes to a 2. It's just because this is inland a little bit, and it will weaken to a 2. As a matter of fact, the Hurricane Center is going up to 120 right now, which is a little stronger. It could go stronger. Again, smaller storms have a tendency to strengthen quicker than larger storms, like Helene was. But at the end of the day, here's the point, all right? So as this moves ashore, wherever it is, here, or here, or here, or here, and it can be any place, most of the surge, and I'm talking the extreme surge, will be about 5 to 10 miles south of where that eye crosses. Now, a little bit more to the south, sure, you might see some more. But I'm telling you, north of this track, it won't be far for you to have no surge at all because the winds will be blowing offshore. So really, we often say don't focus on the line. In this particular case, yeah, you're going to focus on the line because where that line crosses and just south of it, 5 to 10 miles, is where you'll have most of the wind and you'll have most of the surge, at least the extreme wind and the extreme surge. And it could be anywhere in this margin of error at this point. Yes, sure, the models are kind of combining here, but I think we've all seen as Floridians, the models can be way off 3 or 4 days out. As a matter of fact, if you look at the 0Z model starting to come in, you're seeing some spray. So we're just going to have to, here's my point. You've got 3 days, literally 3 days to get ready for this thing. I think a lot of folks aren't going to be like Helene where they just say, okay, it's mandatory evacuation, but we're going to stick around. Look, if you're on the coast and you're in mandatory evacuation, I think a lot of folks now are going to say, we made that mistake once, we're not going to do it again, we're going to get out of Dodge. You look at the spaghetti models for the GFS. There's a lot of agreement on here. The new ones, by the way, are just about to come out for the 0Z GFS. But like I said earlier, there's going to be some dry air coming in from the north. That will happen. And our hope is that that dry air is going to kind of get caught up in it. And that's what the Euro is showing. A lot of times you'll see a storm kind of look like a shrimp as it goes into that transition from tropical to non-tropical. And that also means that some drier air is coming in. So if we can get that in a smaller system, it might weaken a bit. I am not candy coating this. I'm not downplaying it. I'm just telling you, we prepare for the worst, because if this moves onshore as a Cat 3, that's the strongest hurricane we have had in the Bay Area directly since 1921, over 100 years. So you'll never hear me downplay, but I'm just saying the main part of the most destructive winds and the surge is probably only a 5 or 10 mile area. If you're in that 5 or 10 mile, you don't want to be in that area. But it just gives us a little more reasonable outlook on what we can expect on Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday night, with rain anywhere from 4 to 8 inches through Wednesday. Yes, we are going to have tropical storm force winds. I think most of the state is going to have tropical storm force winds. But overall, we've still got 3 days to prepare. Do so. We'll have updates 24/7. Jason will be in the morning. I'll be back tomorrow night, and we'll kind of let you know how things are playing out. The timetable: tropical storm force winds on Wednesday morning, hurricane winds likely by Wednesday afternoon into the evening. It moves across the state and out of here by Thursday.
More evidence that college football is indeed the best reality TV on the air right now. And the Bucs head into deep water after Thursday's loss. Let's do that sports thing next.
Here are tonight's winning lottery numbers.
ABC Action Weather streaming 24/7 is brought to you by Farrah & Farrah Personal Injury Attorneys. FarrahandFarrah.com, Tampa.
Tampa Mayor Jane Castor gave an update on Hurricane Helene. She says crews are picking up piles of debris as quickly as they can as they prepare for Tropical Storm Milton.
So it's going to be difficult for that rainwater to go anywhere. We're going to have some street flooding. We want you to pay attention. Don't go out and drive if you don't have to in the heavy rains. Certainly don't drive through standing water.
Now, I'm not a big labeler of must-win games, but for Florida head coach Billy Napier and the Gators football program, let's just say beating UCF in Gainesville was very high on the priority list moving forward. Thanks for joining us tonight at 11. Make sure to download ABC Action News Plus to your favorite connected device. Have a great rest of your weekend and be safe this coming week as we all get ready for Milton. Have a great rest of your Saturday night, everyone.
Closed captioning is sponsored by Dimmitt Automotive Group, serving Florida's Gulf Coast for over 100 years.
It's about time we fit into your schedule. Streaming local weather 24/7. Search for ABC Action News on your device.
ABC Action News Weather streaming 24/7 is sponsored by WeatherTight Windows.
The 7-day forecast is sponsored by Blue Sky Roofing. When you need to stay dry, call Blue Sky.